The Senate will come to order. Good evening. We are on the third agenda. We are on order of business 4, reports of committee.
Madam President, your Committee on Commerce and Labor, to which you referred Senate Bill number 455, Assembly Bill number 61, has had the same under consideration, begs to report same back with recommendation amended to pass as amended, signed Senator Pat Spearman, Chair. Madam President, your Committee on Finance, to which you referred Assembly Bill number 459, has had the same under consideration, begs to report same back with recommendation amended to pass as amended, signed Senator Chris Brooks, Chair. End of reports.
Thank you. Order of business number 9, motions, resolutions, and notices.
Senate Concurrent Resolution number 14, introduced by Senators Dennis Orangel, etc., memorializing and, sorry about that, Assemblyman Flores, etc., memorializing former District Court Judge Don P. Cherez. End of resolution.
Thank you. Senator Dennis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are there any amendments to the resolution?
There are none. End of resolution.
Thank you. Senator Dennis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to adopt SCR 14.
Thank you. You've heard the motion. Are there any remarks? Senator Dennis.
Thank you. And you have the everybody has a copy of the resolution, right? So I'm not going to go through all of the whereases here, but I had the opportunity and privilege of getting to know Judge Cherez many years ago, working on some issues, and he was always willing to step up and help. Anytime I needed to get some clarification, whether it was on immigration issues or some other, he was always willing to do that. And when he was working with individuals, if he needed my help, he would call. He was a soft-spoken man, but he was always willing to help. He was a kind family man and was always willing to step up. As you see in the whereases, he has done many things throughout his life, and been considered, as it mentions here, by the Nevada Conference of Police and Sheriffs Judge of the Year, because he always made himself available. So I appreciate the opportunity. He left us far too early, and his family has been part of in my life also for many years, and I mourn for them and appreciate having known him, and appreciate knowing the family, I am grateful that we could do something to honor the great life that he lived, and would urge support on this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Further remarks? Senator Orangel.
Thank you very much, President. I, too, had the great privilege of knowing former Judge Cherez, and really was touched by him. He was someone who just cared about people incredibly. He graduated from law school at University of Southern California in 1980. He was a deputy district attorney at the Clark County District Attorney's Office, and I remember one time when Judge Cherez was telling me he really felt that experience at the district attorney's office was key to his growth as an attorney, because he, unlike other areas he'd practiced in, he had to build the case from the ground up and see it from build the foundation all the way up to the roof and the ceiling. In 1994, Governor Bob Miller appointed him district court judge for the 8th Judicial District in Clark County, where he served with distinction. I believe 4 years later, he resigned the bench to run for Congress, and he was the Republican nominee for Congress in the 1st Congressional District, and did very, very well. He, I believe, only lost that race by 5,000 votes in a district that had 40,000 more Democrats than Republicans. He was just key in the amendment of our Constitution after the Kelo versus New London, Connecticut decision at the U.S. Supreme Court. He was key in the pistol movement, people's initiative that stopped the taking of our lands. He worked very hard to take that to the voters and to see that passed and amended into the Constitution to protect people's private property rights. He went on later to become a district attorney in Nye County as well, and that is when he passed of COVID at a very, very young age, and unfortunately we lost him. He, I think, notwithstanding all the years here in Nevada as a prosecutor, when he passed, there's a message board of the attorneys for criminal justice, the criminal defense attorneys, and it was just very telling how many criminal defense attorneys posted very warm comments about what a fair, kind man he was, how, notwithstanding him being on the opposite side of them in all these cases, fair play was always the most important thing to him. He was very devoted to his family, devoted, to our state, to public service, and to the Constitution, and really lost him too young. He was, I believe, our second, in the history of our state, only our second Hispanic American district court judge after John Mendoza, which was just, huge. And I think that whether he decided to stay on the bench or go back into practice, run for Congress, he really changed people's lives for the better no matter what he did. So I give my condolences to his family and to everyone that he helped throughout his life. And certainly our Constitution is better for his fight to protect private property rights with the pistol initiative. And again, condolences to his family, a great loss for our state.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Resolution adopted. Order transmitted to the Assembly.
Senator Orenthal has approved the addition of Senator Harris as a primary sponsor of Senate Bill 96, and that concludes order of business number 9 on the third agenda.
Thank you. Order business 10, introduction, first reading, and reference.
Senate Bill 456, introduced by Finance. Senate Committee on Finance revises provisions relating to state dental health officer. End of bill.
Thank you. Senator Brooks.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that we suspend Standing Rule 40.
Thank you. You've heard the motion. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Oh. Did you want to refer to finance also?
Yes, thank you. I move that we suspend Standing Rule 40 and refer Senate Bill 456 to Finance.
Thank you. You've heard the motion. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
The next two bills will be read and referred together since they're coming out of the same committee and being referred to the same committee. Senate Bill 457, introduced by Senate Committee on Finance, revises provisions governing State Highway Fund. End of bill. Senate Bill 458, introduced by Senate Committee on Finance, ensures sufficient funding for K-12 public education for the 2021-2023 biennium. End of bills.
Thank you. Senator Brooks.
Thank you. I move that we refer Senate Bill 457 to Finance and Senate Bill 458 to Finance as well.
Thank you. Senator Brooks has referred Senate Bill 457 and Senate Bill 458 to the Committee on Finance. Are there any objections to the referral? If not, so ordered.
And that concludes order of business number 10.
Order business number 12, second reading.
Senate Bill number 455, introduced by emergency request Senate Majority Leader, revises qualifications to perform computed tomography and fluoroscopy. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in the Senate Assembly, do enact as follows, Section 1 of Section 1.
Thank you. Are there any amendments to the bill?
I have amendment number 762, proposed by Senate Committee on Commerce and Labor.
Thank you. Senator Spearman.
Thank you, Madam President. Move to dispense with the reading of the amendment.
Thank you. If there are no objections, so ordered. Senator Spearman.
Thank you. Move to adopt Amendment 762 to Senate Bill 455.
Thank you. You've heard the motion. Are there any remarks? Senator Spearman.
The amendment amends Section 1 to retain the term radiation therapy.
That was quick. That was good. All right. Further remarks. Senator Hardy.
Thank you, Madam President. In reviewing on page 4, line 7, when we talked about this in committee, we talked about everything being an or, so it would be all-inclusive. And I'm sure there's a rationale or a reason for crossing out or on line 7 and substituting the word and, but I do not know the rationale for that, if it is a virtual or if it is an and, because in committee we talked about every one of those systems being an or, so as order to be able to get everybody certified and be able to have completed other appropriate training and appropriate credentialing.
That's a question, Senator Hardy.
So that is a question of whoever would like to help me understand why we got rid of an or and put an and in.
Thank you. Senator Canizaro.
Thank you, Madam President. And to my colleague from Boulder City, I think, if I am reading this correctly, and I may need to get some clarification prior to a final vote on this, but as I'm reading it, the original language in the statute had included that someone needed to be certified by the American Registry of Radiologic Technologists or its successor organization to practice in the area of nuclear medicine technology or radiation therapy, or the Nuclear Medicine Technology Certification Board or its successor organization in nuclear medicine. And so what we were trying to clarify with this bill was that someone who does have the proper training, who is certified by one of those boards, would be permitted, so that there isn't any confusion about who it is that we were trying to capture with this original legislation from last session in Senate Bill 130. And so the way that I read that is that that second "or" was in order to include that Nuclear Medicine Technology Certification Board under subsection B. And here we're just trying to clarify they can be certified by the American Registry of Radiologic Technologists to practice in the area, or they can be certified in radiation therapy, and that they have that training and experience, so that there's no confusion that if they have the training and experience that they would be allowed. But we included in this amendment that radiation therapy to ensure that it wasn't just the technologists that had that authority, but also the therapists that could perform that. But I'm happy to get some additional clarification. But that's just my initial read of what we're seeing in the amendment, was to clarify that if they have that experience, then we want to be able to allow them to do this particular tomography.
Senator Hardy?
Thank you, Madam President. I look forward to that clarification. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Pickard?
Thank you, Madam Chair. On that, or Madam President, on that point, I want to make sure I'm reading it correctly. That under sub A, it's the American Registry of Radiologic Technologists or its successor, or radiation therapy, both of whom have received training approved by the division. So it's either the those that have it's the nuclear medicine technology or radiation therapy, and have received, because there's no punctuation to differentiate. And then the "or" on 13 means A, B, or C. Do I understand that correctly? That you've met one of the conditions, either condition A, condition B, or condition C, but condition A requires the training approved by the division for either radiation therapy or the nuclear medicine technologies. Is that correct?
Senator Canizaro?
Thank you, Madam President. Through you to my colleague from Senate District 20. So yes, if you look at the language of the bill, it would be that they are certified by either the American Registry of Radiologic Technologists, or they are certified in radiation therapy, and of course that they have the proper training and experience, which we wanted to clarify. Then at the end of subsection A, there is a semicolon, which would indicate that there is a sort of conjunctive next paragraph in B that also includes that certification by the Nuclear Medicine Technology Certification Board. And then, of course, has that training, semicolon, or on line 13, has completed the appropriate training or holds another appropriate credential approved by the division, such that it is conjunctive between those three sections. So any of those three sections would be included, and the certification in sub A is either the American Registry of Radiologic Technologists or as a radiation therapy.
Senator Pickard? All right. Further remarks? All right. Hearing none. All those in favor? Oh, I'm
Trying to
sorry.
press my speak.
I'm sorry, Senator Hardy. Senator Hardy?
Thank you, Madam President. So, I look at this as in A, the American Registry of Radiologic Technicians to practice or radiation therapy, but then there's a difference between A and B where there's a semicolon, which means the word and a semicolon meaning the word and and B is certified by Nuclear Medicine Technology Certification Board. So the people in A have to do one thing, and then they have to be certified by a different board in another thing, and then the or has, on line 13, has completed appropriate training and holds another appropriate credential approved by the division. So I think the semicolon on line 9 should be an or, and then I can see why you would get rid of the word or on line 7 instead of just have the word and. And I hate to do this, but we're trying to fix it so that everybody is covered in their appropriate specialty as well as their appropriate specialty that would be included, not otherwise included in A and B. I'm sure there's an attorney in LCB that would make me feel more comfortable.
Senator Cannizzaro.
Thank you, Madam President. And I will make sure that we do get that clarified, because I believe the intent here and how it is intended to be read is that it could be any of these 3 sub-pieces, so that we are including all of the individuals who are authorized to perform this type of work.
Senator Hardy.
Did I get that resolved? Someone has it resolved. Thank you, Madam President.
All right, there we go. Further remarks? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yay. Opposed, nay. Okay. Motion carries. Are there any further amendments to the bill?
There are none.
Thank you. Senate Bill 455 is ordered reprinted, engrossed into the general file.
Senate Bill number 61, introduced by Assembly Committee on Commerce and Labor, revises provisions relating to trade practices. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in the Senate Assembly, June Act as follows, Section 1 of Section 1.
Thank you. Are there any amendments to the bill?
I have amendment number 750, proposed by Senate Committee on Commerce and Labor.
Thank you. Senator Spearman.
Thank you, Madam President. Move to dispense with the reading of the amendment.
Thank you. If there are no objections, so ordered. Senator Spearman.
Thank you. Move to adopt Amendment 750 to Assembly Bill 61.
Thank you. You've heard the motion. Are there any remarks? Senator Spearman.
The amendment amends Section 25 to make civil actions under Section 3 limited to the 4-year statute of limitations.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right. Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yay. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Are there any further amendments to the bill?
There are none.
Thank you. AB 61 is ordered reprinted, engrossed into the general file.
Senate Bill number 459, introduced by Senate Committee on Ways and Means, revises provisions relating to workforce development. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in the Senate Assembly, June Act as follows, Section 1 of Section 1.
Thank you. Are there any amendments to the bill?
I have amendment number 755, proposed by Senate Committee on Finance.
Thank you. Senator Dondero-Lu.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that we
Dispense
suspend
with
the reading of the amendment.
Thank you. If there are no objections, so ordered. Senator Dondero-Lu.
Thank you, Madam President. Senate Amendment number 755 amends Section 3 to change the name of the Office of Workforce Innovation to the Governor's Office of Workforce Innovation, and changes the name throughout the bill. The amendment also adds Section 13.5, which changes the reference in Section 2 of Senate Bill 247 from the Office of Workforce Innovation to the Labor Commissioner to reflect the Labor Commissioner's responsibility for apprenticeship programs. In addition, the amendment adds Section 14.5, which provides for the transfer of regulations, contracts, and other agreements and action taken by an officer or agency and whose name has been changed or whose responsibilities have been transferred to remain in effect.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right. Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yay. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Are there any further amendments to the bill?
There are none.
Thank you. Assembly Bill 459 is ordered reprinted, engrossed into the general file.
That concludes order business number 12 on the third agenda.
Thank you. Order Business 13, General File,
Senate
third
Bill-
reading.
Senate Bill number 96, introduced by Senators Orange, Hall, etc., and Assemblywoman Carlton, makes various changes relating to services provided to persons with autism spectrum disorders. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in the Senate Assembly, do enact as follows. Section 1 of Section 1.
Thank you. Are there any amendments to the
I
bill?
have amendment number 745, proposed by the Senate Committee on Finance.
Thank you. Senator Orange.
Thank you, President. I move to dispense with the reading of Amendment 745.
Thank you. If there are no objections, so ordered. Senator Orange.
Thank you, President. I move that the Senate do adopt Amendment 745 to Senate Bill 96.
Thank you. You have heard the motion. Are there any remarks? Senator Orange.
Amendment 745 proposes to amend Senate Bill 96 to add Section 4.8 to the language of the bill, requiring the Department of Health and Human Services to request to amend the state plan for Medicaid to increase the fee-for-service reimbursement rate for services provided by a registered behavior technician to $62 per hour or as close to that rate as can be approved, effective January 1st of 2022. If the state plan for Medicaid amendment is approved, the Autism Treatment Assistance Program, ATAP, must provide a reimbursement rate for registered behavior technicians equal or higher rate than Medicaid. Additionally, Senate Amendment 745 amends Senate Bill 96 to add sections 4.2 and 4.5 to appropriate general funds totaling $2,811,228 to the Division of Healthcare Financing and Policy for personnel, administrative, and medical services costs associated with the increased reimbursement rates, carrying out the provisions of the Act.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Any further amendments to the bill?
There are none.
Thank you. Senate Bill 96, ready for final action.
Senate Bill 96, introduced by Senator Orange, Hall, etc., Assemblywoman Carlton, makes various changes relating to services provided to persons with autism spectrum disorders. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in the Senate Assembly, do enact as follows. Section 1 through Section 6, end of bill.
Thank you. Remarks? Senator Orange.
Thank you, President. As amended, Senate Bill 96 requires the Department of Health and Human Services to request to amend the state plan for Medicaid to increase the fee-for-service reimbursement rate for services provided by registered behavior technicians to $62 per hour or as close to that rate as can be approved, effective January 1st of 2022. If the state plan for Medicaid amendment is approved, the Autism Treatment Assistance Program must provide a reimbursement rate for registered behavior technicians equal or higher than the Medicaid rate. Beginning in the 2023 through 2025 biennium, the department is required to biennially establish fee-for-service Medicaid rates for registered behavior technicians that are comparable to rates paid by Medicaid in other states. As amended, Senate Bill 96 requires the Division of Healthcare Financing and Policy to prepare an annual report concerning the provision of service to Medicaid recipients who have been diagnosed with an autism spectrum disorder, and requires the Aging and Disability Services Division to use a risk assessment tool to prioritize individuals with higher needs for services when a waiting list exists for the Autism Treatment Assistance Program, ATAP. As amended, Senate Bill 96 appropriates general fund dollars of $2,811,229 to the Division of Healthcare Financing and Policy for personnel, administrative, and medical services costs associated with the increased reimbursement rates and carrying out the provisions of the Act. And to all my colleagues, this bill really is in response to the audit that we received that was worked on during the interim, which identified a lot of deficiencies with how we are providing services to children on Medicaid who are on the spectrum. And I believe that this legislation will go a long way to try to make sure that those children on Medicaid can try to receive those services faster, sooner, and hopefully make a bigger difference in their lives. I certainly cannot thank my colleague from Senate District 8, the Majority Leader, the Assistant Majority Leader, the Chair of Finance for their tireless work on this, and I hope that the body will support it.
Thank you. Further remarks? Senator Kiefer.
Thank you, Madam President. I am certainly going to support Senate Bill 96. I have been voting for bills to support autistic children in the state since I entered the body, but I would be remiss if I did not point out that I think this is a dangerous precedent, slippery slope. I could probably come up with a bunch of other sayings. But for us to dictate as the legislative body in statute what a Medicaid reimbursement rate is going to be sets a precedent that we will do this for whatever the body chooses to prioritize next. And that can become a very dangerous situation in the future as our state Medicaid office tries to manage our whims. So I support the bill and I support its cause, but I think we just need to be careful going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Orenshaw.
Thank you very much, President, and certainly I respect the position of my colleague from District 16, but the audit identified a problem that I don't think we've ever had a report like that identify these kinds of a bleeding wound. And certainly I think going with that rate, or as close as we can get to that rate, is an attempt really to stop the bleeding. And Section 1 of the bill certainly will require a comparable rate study to try to get us on an even keel with other states with Medicaid rates. So that's not meant to be a permanent rate, but it really is meant to deal with a situation that has, thanks to the audit, we know is really, I'd say, beyond the breaking point. So I think that extraordinary measures, are called for when we have extraordinary circumstances, and I think the audit revealed that this is one of those.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none, the Secretary will open the roll. All right, looks like everyone's voted. Does anyone wish to change his or her vote? All right, the Secretary will close the roll. The vote on Senate Bill 96 is 21 in favor, 0 against. The bill, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Order the Assembly.
Senate Bill number 274, introduced by Senators Raddy and Canizaro, revises provisions relating to commercially sexually exploited children. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in the Senate and Assembly, do enact as follows. Section 1 to Section 1.
Thank you. Are there any amendments to the bill?
I have amendment number 571, proposed by the Senate Committee on Finance.
Thank you.
Thank you, President.
Senator Raddy.
I'd like to move to dispense with the meeting of the. I'd like to dispense with the reading of the amendment.
If there are no objections, so ordered. Senator Raddy.
This amendment.
Did you want to move
I'd like to
adopt?
move to adopt the amendment.
Thank you. You've heard the motion. Are there any remarks? Senator Raddy.
This amendment makes some technical changes to the process that allows for the counties who are primarily charged with implementing the provisions of this bill to make better use of federal funding that is available and more align this requirement that we treat children who are victims of sex trafficking in the child welfare system as opposed to the juvenile justice system, to align the work that they do with Title IV-B funds, which will make it more feasible to fund the work. And so there are a number of technical amendments to this bill that seek to achieve that goal.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Are there any further amendments to the bill?
There are none.
Thank you. Senate Bill 274, ready for final action.
Senate Bill 274, introduced by Senators Raddy and Canizaro, revises provisions relating to commercially sexually exploited children. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in the Senate Assembly, do enact as follows. Section 1 through Section 37, subsection 3 under bill. This bill requires a 2/3 majority vote.
Thank you. Remarks? Senator Raddy.
Thank you, President. Senate Bill 274, as amended, provides for the establishment, licensure, and operation of receiving centers, with apologies to my colleague from Vegas that we have still not changed the name, for commercially sexually exploited children, and the certification of certain other facilities and entities that provide services to such children outside of the juvenile justice system, and requires the Division of Child and Family Services of the Department of Health and Human Services to adopt regulations regarding the operation of receiving centers. Additionally, Senate Bill 274, as amended, requires that an agency which provides child welfare services is required to take certain actions in response to a report of commercial sexual exploitation of a child. And finally, Senate Bill 274, as amended, delays the effective date of provisions of statute prohibiting the adjudication of a child as delinquent or the assignment of a child to juvenile justice detention facility in certain circumstances from July 1, 2022 to July 1, 2023. Senate Bill 274 becomes effective upon passage and approval for the purpose of adopting regulations and performing any other preparatory administrative tasks that that are necessary, and on January 1, 2022 for all other purposes. Section 2 of Senate Bill 274 as amended is effective on July 1, 2023. I will just say that this is work that was started in 2019 that makes a pretty significant shift to draw a line in the sand that says we will no longer treat children who have been sex trafficked in the juvenile justice system as criminals, and rather will treat them in the child welfare system as victims, leaning in to make sure that they become survivors. And that is no easy task. It does put a significant load on the counties, but I think that we've worked together well to try to figure out how we make this happen in a collaborative way. And while we keep pushing that deadline out just a little bit farther, we are making significant progress, and I'm very proud of the work that's been done in this area. Thank you.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none, the secretary will open the roll. All right, looks like everyone has voted. Does anyone wish to change his or her vote? All right, secretary will close the roll. The vote on Senate Bill 274 is 21 in favor, 0 against. The bill, having received a 2/3 majority, is declared passed. Order the assembly.
Senate Bill number 347, introduced by Senator Scheibel, revises provisions governing sexual misconduct in institutions in Nevada system of higher education. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in the Senate Assembly, do enact as follows. Section 1 of Section 1.
Thank you. Are there any amendments to the bill?
I have amendment number 682, proposed by the Senate Committee on Finance.
Thank you. Senator Scheibel.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that we dispense with the reading of Amendment 682 to Senate Bill 347.
Thank you. If there are no objections, so ordered. Senator Scheibel.
And I move that we adopt Amendment 682 to Senate Bill 347.
Thank you. You've heard the motion. Are there any remarks? Senator Scheibel.
Thank you. While the amendment may look extensive, it makes some changes to the language of the bill and some of the mechanics of the bill. It does not change the substance of the bill. The mechanical changes that it makes ensures that the policy as set forth is something that NSHE will be able to accommodate and able to enforce without overly burdening their financial strain. It also makes some other changes that ensure that it is in line with that the policies regarding sexual misconduct on college campuses here in the state of Nevada are in line with federal law, and ensures that victims of sexual assault and sexual violence will have access to appropriate counseling services as well as medical care.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Are there any further amendments to the bill?
There are none.
Thank you. Senate Bill 347, ready for final action.
Senate Bill 347, introduced by Senator Scheibel, revises provisions governing sexual misconduct in institutions in Nevada system of higher education. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in the Senate Assembly, do enact as follows. Section 1 through Section 30, subsection 3, end of bill.
Thank you. Remarks? Senator Scheibel.
Thank you, President. Senate Bill 347 creates the Task Force on Sexual Misconduct at Institutions of Higher Education and authorizes the Board of Regents of the Nevada System of Higher Education to require an institution to conduct a climate survey on sexual misconduct, adopt a sexual misconduct policy, provide training on the grievance processes, on the grievance process, enter into a memorandum of understanding with agencies and entities assisting victims of sexual misconduct, designate and provide victim advocates, prohibit sanctioning a reporting party or witness under certain circumstances, provide programming on sexual misconduct and awareness, and requires them to submit certain reports. The board must comply with Finally, SB 347 allows a student who has experienced sexual misconduct to request a waiver from certain requirements relating to scholarships or academic activities, and requires information gathered from a climate survey and the annual report on sexual misconduct to be confidential.
Thank you. Further remarks? Senator Hardy.
Thank you, Madam President. I think I struggle with how to differentiate different, what we would call advances, whether they're part of the courtship or whether they're evincing gender bias. So I don't know that anybody can actually put into words. It's kind of like I know it when I see it. So I think it's too loose in trying to figure that out. Thank you.
Thank you. Further remarks? Senator Scheibel.
Thank you, President. I'll note for the body that the definition of sexual harassment is located in Section 7 of the bill on page 6, if you're looking at the amendment that was just provided to us. And a number of stakeholders came together to agree on this definition of sexual harassment. It is lifted from another policy promulgated by the Nevada System of Higher Education, and that is why those words, exactly as you see them, are reflected in Senate Bill 347 and Amendment number 682.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, seeing none, the secretary will open the roll. All right, looks like everyone's voted. Does anyone wish to change his or her vote? All right, the secretary will close the roll. The vote on Senate Bill 347 is 18 in favor, 3 against. The bill, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed or the assembly.
Senate Bill number 366, introduced by Senate Committee on Judiciary, revises provisions relating to juvenile competency. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in the Senate Assembly, do enact as follows. Section 1 of Section 1.
Thank you. Are there any amendments to the bill?
I have amendment number 727, proposed by Senate Committee on Finance.
Thank you. Senator Orangel.
Thank you, President. I move to dispense with the reading of Amendment 727.
Thank you. If there are no objections, so ordered. Senator Orangel.
Thank you, President. I move that the Senate do adopt Amendment 727 to Senate Bill 366.
Thank you. You've heard the motion. Gesundheit. Are there any remarks? Senator Orangel.
Thank you, President. Amendment 727 requires each Department of Juvenile Services and the Nevada Youth Parole Bureau of the Division of Child and Family Services to submit information regarding competence of juveniles and for the Division of Child and Family Services to review current services being provided related to juvenile competency, develop a plan for the structure of services related to juvenile competency and restoration of competency, and submit this plan to the Legislative Committee on Child Welfare and Juvenile Justice.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Any further amendments to the bill?
There are none.
Thank you. Senate Bill 366, ready for final action.
Senate Bill 366, introduced by Senate Committee on Judiciary, revises provisions relating to juvenile competency. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in the Senate Assembly, do enact as follows. Section 1 through Section 6, end of bill.
Thank you. Remarks? Senator Orangel.
Thank you, President. Senate Bill 366, as amended, authorizes a juvenile court to issue an order to join any governmental entity or other person as a party to enforce a legal obligation to a child who is the subject of the order in certain circumstances. The court is authorized to order a facility of the Division of Child and Family Services of the Department of Health and Human Services to accept and provide services to a child who has been deemed incompetent, subject to certain limitations. Additionally, the administrator of a facility must assist the juvenile court in identifying an alternate facility if the administrator determines that the treatment available at that facility is not appropriate or necessary for the child's health and welfare. If a child is determined to be incompetent and is unlikely to regain competence in the foreseeable future, the juvenile court is to hold a hearing on the matter, is then to issue all necessary and appropriate recommendations and orders, and is authorized to order a Division of Child and Family Services facility to accept and provide services to the child. Senate Bill 366 also provides that a child found to be not competent may not be committed to the custody of a youth correctional facility, and in certain circumstances is able to have his or her juvenile record sealed. Finally, the bill requires each Department of Juvenile Services and the Youth Parole Bureau of the Division of Child and Family Services to submit information regarding competency of juveniles and for the Division of Child and Family Services to review current services being provided related to the competency of juveniles, develop a plan for the structure of related services, and submit the plan to the Legislative Committee on Child Welfare and Juvenile Justice.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none, the secretary will open the roll. All right, looks like everyone's voted. Does anyone wish to change his or her vote? All right, the secretary will close the roll. The vote on Senate Bill 366 is 21 in favor, 0 against. The bill, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed or the assembly.
Senate Bill number 445, introduced by Senate Committee on Finance, revises provisions relating to state purchasing. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in the Senate Assembly, do enact as follows. Section 1 of Section 1.
Thank you. Are there any amendments to the bill?
I have amendment number 764, proposed by Senator Orangel.
Thank you. Senator Orangel.
Thank you, President. I move to dispense with the reading of Amendment 764.
Thank you. If there are no objections, so ordered. Senator Orangel.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the Senate do adopt Amendment 764 to Senate Bill 445.
Thank you. You've heard the motion. Are there any remarks? Senator Orangel.
Amendment 764 restores the language in Senate Bill 445, Section 4, subparagraph 2A, that is currently proposed to be deleted in the bill so as to keep the current existing requirement in NRS 333.310 for the state to publicly post advertisements for bids or proposals in at least one newspaper of general circulation in the state.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Are there any further amendments to the bill?
There are none.
Thank you. Senate Bill 445, ready for final action.
Senate Bill 445, introduced by Senate Committee on Finance, revises provisions relating to state purchasing of the people of the state of Nevada, represented in the Senate Assembly, do enact as follows: Section 1 through Section 7, subsection 12, end of bill.
Thank you. Remarks. Senator Dondero Loop.
Thank you, Madam President. Senate Bill 445 makes several revisions related to the State Purchasing Act, including prohibiting any contract under the Act from any requiring that any dispute that arises from the contract be instituted or heard in another state or nation, or requiring the state to indemnify another party against liability for damages. Additionally, the bill increases from $50,000 to $100,000 the maximum amount of the contracts that the clerk of the State Board of Examiners may be authorized to approve. This bill is effective on October 1st, 2021.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none, the secretary will open the roll. All right, looks like everyone's voted. Does anyone wish to change his or her vote? All right, the secretary will close the roll. The vote on Senate Bill 445 is 21 in favor, 0 against. The bill having received a constitutional majority is declared pass. Order the assembly.
Senate Bill number 454, introduced by Senate Committee on Finance, revises provisions relating to agriculture. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in the Senate Assembly, do enact as follows: Section 1 of Section 1.
Thank you. Are there any amendments to the bill?
I have amendment number 763, proposed by Senator Settlemeyer.
Thank you. Senator Settlemeyer.
Thank you, Madam President. I move to waive the reading of the amendment.
Thank you. If there are no objections, so ordered. Senator Settlemeyer.
Thank you, Madam President. I move to adopt amendment number 763 to Senate Bill 454.
Thank you. You've heard the motion. Are there any remarks? Senator Settlemeyer.
Thank you, Madam President. The original bill or the original laws that now exist is 3 years is what they wish to change it from. Originally, the law was 4 years, which basically equated to $30 a year. The bill sought to change that to 3 years for the same price, which would be effectively $40 a year. My opinion is why not just go to 5 years at the $40 rate, which is an increase and it adds more money to the general revenue, for $200. That way businesses will get an extra year of not having to do paperwork versus shortening it and making them do it more often. That was the concept of the amendment. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Any further amendments to the bill?
There are none.
Thank you. Senate Bill 454, ready for final action.
Senate Bill 454, introduced by Senate Committee on Finance, revises provisions relating to agriculture. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in the Senate Assembly, do enact as follows: Section 1 through Section 3. End of bill. This bill requires a 2/3 majority vote.
Thank you. Remarks? Senator Danyate.
Thank you, Madam President. Senate Bill 454 makes various changes related to the processing of applications for new brands and marks of animals and the re-recordation of such brands and marks. The bill authorizes the State Department of Agriculture to establish and collect reasonable fees for the processing of applications for new brands or new brands and marks, regardless of whether the new brand or mark is awarded. Beginning on January 1st, 2023, the time period after which the owner of a brand or brand mark or marks of record must be recorded is reduced from, given the amendment, it's up from 4 to 5 years, and the application must be submitted electronically through the department's website or in writing on a form provided by the department. At the discretion of the department, unless otherwise requested by an owner, the department may provide the required notice to an owner to re-record by a certain time any brand and mark or marks by an electronic mail. Such notice must be sent to the electronic mail or in writing by mail to the owner's last electronic mail address for the address of record as applicable. Finally, the bill requires the department to provide an electronic copy of the certificate setting forth the fact of re-recordation.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none, the secretary will open the roll. All right, looks like everyone's voted. Does anyone wish to change his or her vote? All right, secretary will close the roll. The vote on Senate Bill 454 is 21 in favor, 0 against. The bill having received a 2/3 majority is declared pass. Order the assembly.
And that concludes order of business number 13 on the third agenda.
Thank you. Order of business 14, unfinished business, concurrence.
Bill number 4, introduced by Senate Committee on Government Affairs, revises provisions relating to imposition of certain penalties by ordinance for certain violations relating to fireworks. The Assembly has amended this bill with amendment number 638. Does the Senate wish to concur or not concur in this matter?
Thank you. Senator Dondero Loop.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment 638 to Senate Bill 4.
Thank you. Senator Dondero Loop has moved to concur in Assembly Amendment 638 to Senate Bill number 4. Are there any further remarks? Senator Dondero Loop.
Amendment 638 to Senate Bill 4 adds tiered penalties based on the amount of illegal fireworks in possession.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Senate bill ordered and rolled. Assembly to be notified of our action.
Senate Bill number 44, introduced by Senate Committee on Commerce and Labor, revises provisions governing behavioral health professionals. The Assembly has amended this bill with amendment number 637. Does the Senate wish to concur or not concur in this?
Thank you. Senator Spearman.
Thank you, Madam President. Move that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment Number 637 to Senate Bill 44.
Thank you. Senator Spearman has moved that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment Number 637 to Senate Bill Number 44. Are there any remarks? Senator Spearman.
Thank you. The amendment revises provisions concerning the issuance of an expedited license by an endorsement by the Board of Psychological Examiners pursuant to Chapter 641 of Nevada Revised Statutes, the Board of Examiners for Marriage and Family Therapists and Clinical Professional Counselors pursuant to 641A of NRS, the Board of Examiners for Social Workers pursuant to 641B of NRS, and the Board of Examiners for Alcohol, Drug, Gambling Counselors pursuant to Chapter 641C, requires applicable boards to provide an alternate means for an applicant to submit official transcripts under certain circumstances. As new provisions to Chapter 641, 641A, 641B, and C of NRS, requiring the applicable boards to adopt regulations authorizing remote supervision, including electronic supervision and prescribing standards for such remote supervision, requires each board to submit the specified report to the chair of each regional behavioral health policy board, and authorizes the report to be submitted in a written format. And it deletes Section 32 of the bill, which requires the Legislative Committee on Healthcare to study the processes of licensure or certification in professions regulated by those licensing boards and identify barriers for licensure or certification.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Senate bill ordered and rolled. Assembly to be notified of our action.
Senate Bill number 49, introduced by Senate Committee on Health and Human Services, revises provisions relating to cannabis. The Assembly has amended this bill with amendment number 535. Does the Senate wish to concur or not concur in this matter?
Thank you. Senator Reddy.
Thank you, President. I move that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment 535 to Senate Bill 49.
Thank you. Senator Ratty has moved that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment number 535 to Senate Bill number 49. Any remarks? Senator Orenshaw.
I think it's Senator.
Sorry, Senator Ratty.
Thank you. Senate Bill 49 adds a new definition of synthetic cannabinoid to the statute, provides that a person is prohibited from producing, distributing, or selling synthetic cannabinoids, and revises several definitions, including the definition of marijuana, THC, and hemp.
Thank you. Further remarks? Senator Orenshaw.
Thank you, President. There once was a man from Las Vegas who married a woman now famous. She sits on the board that polices the hordes of cannabis stores and their patrons. Since that man from Las Vegas is me, due to our standing Rule 23, I must abstain from this vote, though my disclosure is rote. I tried to be brief, as you see. This is all due to our friendly Rule 23.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Senate bill ordered and rolled. Assembly to be notified of our action.
Senate Bill number 67, introduced by Senate Committee on Government Affairs, creates a pilot program to gather data on the use of job order contracts for certain public works. The Assembly has amended this bill with amendment number 713. Does the Senate wish to concur or not concur in this matter?
Thank you. Senator Dondero-Loop.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment 713 to Senate Bill 67.
Thank you. Senator Dondero-Loop has moved that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment number 713 to Senate Bill number 67. Any remarks? Senator Dondero-Loop.
Thank you, Madam President. Amendment 713 to Senate Bill 67 does the following. It adds certain additional requirements for a job order contract and enforcement of a job order contract by the Labor Commissioner.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Senate bills ordered and rolled. Assembly to be notified of our action.
Senate Bill number 75, introduced by Senate Committee on Commerce and Labor, revises provisions relating to unemployment compensation. The Assembly has amended this bill with amendment number 628. Does the Senate wish to concur or not concur in this matter?
Thank you. Senator Spearman.
Thank you, Madam President. Move that the Senate concur with Assembly Amendment number 628 to Senate Bill 75.
Thank Thank you. Senator Spearman has moved that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment Number 628 to Senate Bill Number 75. Remarks, Senator Spearman.
Thank you, Madam President. Replaces the United States Department of Labor with Federal Law, Section 5.5. Requires the amendment of payment by way of reimbursement in lieu of contributions due by an employer who has elected to make payments by way of reimbursement in lieu of contributions to be reduced by an amount of state liability relief for the weeks of unemployment beginning on or after March 13, 2020, at an amount prescribed by the administrator. Requires the administrator to determine such amount so as to utilize all available relief pursuant to Section 903I of the Social Security Act of 1935, and results in such employers owing no amount for the weeks that such relief is available. Requires the administrator to, in response to a request from a court official with subpoena authority, and in compliance with federal law, to furnish certain information concerning persons who receive benefits for use in the selection of trial jurors, and delete Section 19 of the bill.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Senate Bill ordered and ruled. Assembly to be notified of our action.
Senate Bill Number 77, introduced by Senate Committee on Government Affairs, revises provisions relating to public bodies. The Assembly has amended this bill with Amendment Number 741. Does the Senate wish to concur or not concur in this matter?
Thank you. Senator Dondero-Loop.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment 741 to Senate Bill 77.
Thank you. Senator Dondero-Loop has moved that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment Number 741 to Senate Bill Number 77. Remarks, Senator Dondero-Loop?
Thank you, Madam President. This amendment limits discussions in closed meetings to the subject of the memorandum or agreement entered into with the federal agency.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Senate Bill ordered and ruled. Assembly to be notified of our action.
Senate Bill 103, introduced by Senator Scheibel, et cetera, prohibits certain insurers from discriminating based on the breed of dog at a property. The Assembly has amended this bill with Amendment Number 564. Does the Senate wish to concur or not concur in this matter?
Thank you. Senator Spearman.
Thank you, Madam President. Move that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment Number 564 to Senate Bill 103.
Thank you. Senator Spearman has moved that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment Number 564 to Senate Bill Number 103. Remarks, Senator Spearman?
Thank you, Madam President. The amendment prohibits certain insurers from discriminating based on the breed of the dog at a property.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Senate Bill ordered and ruled. Assembly to be notified of our action.
Senate Bill Number 109, introduced by Senator Spearman, revises provisions relating to collection of certain information by governmental agencies. The Assembly has amended this bill with Amendment Number 732. Does the Senate wish to concur or not concur in this matter?
Thank you. Senator Dondero-Loop.
Thank you, Madam President. I move the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment 732 to Senate Bill 109.
Thank you. Senator Dondero-Loop has moved that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment Number 732 to Senate Bill Number 109. Remarks, Senator Dondero-Loop.
Thank you, Madam President. Amendment 732 clarifies the requested information may be used for carrying out the duties of the governmental agency and deletes the word demographic and replaces the word collects with requests.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Senate Bill ordered and ruled. Assembly to be notified of our action.
Senate Bill Number 150, introduced by Senators Harris, et cetera, makes changes to provisions relating to housing. The Assembly has amended this bill with Amendment Number 715. Does the Senate wish to concur or not concur in this matter?
Thank you. Senator Dondero-Loop.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment 715 to Senate Bill 150.
Thank you. Senator Dondero-Loop has moved that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment Number 715 to Senate Bill Number 150. Remarks, Senator Dondero-Loop.
Thank you, Madam President. This amendment requires the governing body of a county or city to consider certain health and environmental effects of the location of tiny houses in the zoning districts designated in an ordinance or on certain populations.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Senate Bill ordered and rolled. Assembly to be notified of our action.
Senate Bill Number 173, introduced by Senators Dondero-Loop and et cetera, Assemblywoman Anderson and Torres, revises provisions relating to education. The Assembly has amended this bill with Amendment Number 502. Does the Senate wish to concur or not concur in this matter?
Thank you. Senator Dennis.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment 502 to Senate Bill 173.
Thank you. Senator Dennis has moved that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment Number 502 to Senate Bill Number 173. Remarks, Senator Dennis.
Thank you, Madam President. Amendment 502 to Senate Bill 173 adds English learners to the list of pupils identified as at risk of loss of learning. It revises requirements related to hiring recently retired public employees for the summer school program, requires school districts and charter schools to compare the results of certain examinations and assessments administered during the spring and fall before and after the completion of the summer school program, and it revises certain dates related to the reporting of plans to address learning loss.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Senate bill ordered and rolled. Assembly to be notified of our action.
Senate Bill Number 186, introduced by Senate Committee on Commerce and Labor, revises provisions relating to property. The Assembly has amended this bill with Amendment Number 634. Does the Senate wish to concur or not concur in this matter?
Thank you. Senator Spearman.
Thank you, Madam President. Move that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment Number 634 to Senate Bill 186.
Thank you. Senator Spearman has moved that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment Number 634 to Senate Bill Number 186. Remarks, Senator Spearman.
The amendment prohibits certain persons from purchasing a unit in a common interest community at a foreclosure sale. It revises requirements concerning the provision of notice by Unit Owners Association and requires certain unit owners, associations of common interest communities to establish either a website or electronic portal through which a unit's owner may access certain information effective January 1, 2022, and pay assessments electronically effective January 1, 2023.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Senate bill ordered and rolled. Assembly to be notified of our action.
Senate Bill 188, introduced by Senator Spearman, establishes programs for certain persons of low income and certain children. The Assembly has amended this bill with Amendment Number 612. Does the Senate wish to concur or not concur in this matter?
Thank you. Senator Ratty.
Thank you, President. I move that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment 612 to Senate Bill 188.
Thank you. Senator Ratty has moved that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment Number 612 to Senate Bill Number 188. Remarks, Senator Ratty.
Amendment 612 revises Senate Bill 188 by authorizing a relative or fictive kin of a child placed in his or her care by a child welfare agency to establish an individual development account into which a person deposits money to save and use later for certain purposes, providing that money deposited in an account established by a relative or fictive kin is the property of the child, requiring a child welfare agency to ensure that instruction and financial literacy is provided to a child on whose behalf an account is established by a relative or fictive kin, and authorizing the Nevada State Treasurer to adopt certain regulations relating to the administration of such accounts by fiduciary organizations.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Senate bill ordered and rolled. Assembly to be notified of our action.
Senate Bill Number 196, introduced by Senators Lang, etc., and Assemblywoman Dickman and Tolles, prohibits the performance of a public examination in certain circumstances. The Assembly has amended this bill with Amendment Number 565. Does the Senate wish to concur or not concur in this matter?
Thank you. Senator Lang.
I move that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment Number 565 to Senate Bill 196.
Thank you. Senator Lang has moved that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment Number 565 to Senate Bill Number 166. Remarks, Senator Lang.
Amendment 565 makes one change to Senate Bill 196. It adds Assemblywoman Tolles as a primary joint sponsor and Assemblywoman Dickman as a non-primary joint sponsor.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Senate bill ordered and rolled. Assembly to be notified of our action.
Senate Bill Number 209, introduced by Senators Doñate, etc., and Assemblyman Gonzalez, etc., revises provisions relating to employment. The Assembly has amended this bill with Amendment Number 566. Does the Senate wish to concur or not concur in this matter?
Thank you. Senator Doñate.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment 566 to Senate Bill 209.
Thank you. Senator Doñate has moved to the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment Number 566 to Senate Bill Number 209. Remarks, Senator Doñate.
Thank you, Madam President. Amendment 566 makes two changes to Senate Bill 209. It deletes subsection 11 of Section 1 of the bill and adds co-sponsors to the bill. Also, I received a few questions last week, and as SB 209 relates to the construction industry, my intent would be to provide an exemption under Section 1, Subsection 6 for employers who make an effort to provide access to mobile vaccine clinics for their employees located where work or nearby work is being performed and while employees are working. In other words, a construction employer would not have to pay the additional required compensation at a site, like a construction site where construction remodels or renovations are occurring, as examples when access to a mobile vaccine clinic is being provided.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Senate bill ordered and enrolled. Assembly to be notified of our action.
Senate Bill Number 215, introduced by Senator Dennis, revises provisions relating to education. The Assembly has amended this bill with Amendment Number 580. Does the Senate wish to concur or not concur in this matter?
Thank you, Senator Dennis.
Madam President, I move that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment 580 to Senate Bill 215.
Thank you. Senator Dennis has moved that Senate concur in Assembly Amendment Number 580, Senate Bill Number 215. Remarks, Senator Dennis?
Thank you, Madam President. Amendment 580 to Senate Bill 215 revises subsection 1 of section 3.5 so that pupils may attend full-time programs of distance education that are sponsored by a school district or charter school in their district of residence or out of their district of residence under certain circumstances. And 2 restores language in subsection 2 of section 3.5, excluding private schools and homeschooled pupils from being eligible to enroll in such a distance education program.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Senate bill ordered and enrolled. Assembly to be notified of our action.
Senate Bill Number 217, introduced by Senator Seavers-Gansert, it revises provisions relating to applied behavior analysis. The Assembly has amended this bill with Amendment Number 632. Does the Senate wish to concur or not concur in this matter?
Thank you, Senator Seavers-Gansert.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment 632 to Senate Bill 217.
Thank you, Senator Seavers-Gansert has moved that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment Number 632 to Senate Bill Number 217. Remarks, Senator Seavers-Gansert.
This amendment amends the bill to remove provisions requiring the Board of Applied Behavioral Analysis to prescribe by regulation fees for the issuance, renewal, and reinstatement of a license or registration and any other service provided by the Board. Instead, it requires the Board to establish a schedule of fees and charges for certain specified items relating to licensing and registration with certain specified maximum amounts.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Senate bill ordered and enrolled. Assembly to be notified of our action.
Senate Bill 222, introduced by Senator Scheibel, revises provisions relating to governmental administration. The Assembly has amended this bill with Amendment Number 530. Does the Senate wish to concur or not concur in this matter?
Thank you, Senator Dondero-Loop.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment 530 to Senate Bill 222.
Thank you, Senator Dondero-Loop has moved that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment Number 530 to Senate Bill Number 222. Remarks, Senator Dondero-Loop.
Thank you, Madam President. This amendment adds LGBTQ to the definition of a minority group and defines the term LGBTQ.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Senate bill ordered and enrolled. Assembly to be notified of our action.
Senate Bill 229, introduced by Senator Ratty, revises provisions relating to practice of pharmacy. The Assembly has amended this bill with Amendment Number 567. Does the Senate wish to concur or not concur in this matter?
Thank you, Senator Ratty.
Thank you, President. I move that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendments 567 to Senate Bill 229.
Thank you. Senator Ratty has moved that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment Number 567 to Senate Bill Number 229. Remarks, Senator Ratty.
The amendment retains provisions requiring a practitioner, in order to enter into a collaborative practice agreement, to agree to obtain the informed written consent from a patient who is referred by the practitioner to a pharmacist pursuant to that agreement, provides that such provisions do not require a patient to obtain a referral from a practitioner before a pharmacist may engage in the collaborative practice of pharmacy or collaborative drug therapy management, and retains provisions requiring a pharmacist to obtain the informed written consent of a patient before engaging in the collaborative practice of pharmacy on behalf of the patient.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Senate bill ordered and enrolled. Assembly to be notified of our action.
Senate Bill Number 245, introduced by Senator Lang, makes changes regarding employment. The Assembly has amended this bill with Amendment Number 516. Does the Senate wish to concur or not concur?
Thank you, Senator Spearman.
Thank you, Madam President. Move that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment Number 516 to Senate Bill Number 245.
Thank you, Senator Spearman has moved that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment Number 516 to Senate Bill Number 245. Remarks, Senator Spearman.
Madam President, if I could.
Remarks, Senator Lang.
Thank you. Amendment 516 makes 2 changes to Senate Bill 245. It establishes a private right of action for certain claims for unpaid wages upon termination, and it prohibits the Labor Commissioner from exercising jurisdiction on such claims under certain circumstances.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Senate bill ordered and enrolled. Assembly to be notified of our action.
Senate Bill number 248, introduced by Senator Don Darrell Loop, revises provisions relating to collection of medical debt. The Assembly has amended this bill with amendment number 515. Does the Senate wish to concur or not concur in this matter?
Thank you. Senator Spearman.
Thank you, Madam President. Move that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment Number 515 to Senate Bill 248.
Thank you. Senator Spearman's moved that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment Number 515 to Senate Bill Number 248. Remarks? Senator Spearman.
Thank you, Madam President. The amendment amends the definition of medical debtor, revises provisions that require a collection agency to notify a debtor before taking any action to collect a medical debt, and clarifies the prohibition that the commencement of a civil action to collect a medical debt does not prohibit the commencement of small claims action to collect a medical debt.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Senate Bill ordered and rolled. Assembly to be notified of our action.
Senate Bill number 249, introduced by Senator Don Darrell Loop, revises provisions related to education. The Assembly has amended this bill with amendment number 753. Does the Senate wish to concur or not concur in this matter?
Thank you. Senator Dennis.
Madam President, I move that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment 753 to Senate Bill 249.
Thank you. Senator Dennis moved that Senate concur in Assembly Amendment Number 753 to Senate Bill Number 249. Remarks? Senator Dennis.
Thank you, Madam President. Amendment 753 to Senate Bill 249 establishes requirements to include mental health resource information on student identification cards issued by the Nevada System of Higher Education Institutions.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Senate Bill ordered and rolled. Assembly to be notified of our action.
Senate Bill number 269, introduced by Senator Kiefer and Severs-Gansert, revises provisions relating to dental insurance. The Assembly has amended this bill with amendment number 631. Does the Senate wish to concur or not concur in this matter?
Thank you. Senator Kiefer.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment 631 to Senate Bill 269.
Thank you. Senator Kiefer moved that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment Number 631 to Senate Bill Number 269. Remarks? Senator Kiefer.
Thank you, Madam President. The amendment deletes the requirement that in order to deny a claim for which prior authorization was granted because the insured was not eligible to receive the dental care for which the claim was made, the dental insurer or administrator must not have known of the eligibility status of the insured and could not have discovered the eligibility status of the insured through reasonable care. Thank you.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Senate Bill ordered and rolled. Assembly to be notified of our action.
Senate Bill number 275, introduced by Senator Harris, revises provisions relating to communicable diseases. The Assembly has amended this bill with amendment number 532. Does the Senate wish to concur or not concur in this matter?
Thank you. Senator Ratty.
Thank you, President. I move that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment 532 to Senate Bill 275.
Thank you. Senator Ratty moves that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment Number 532 to Senate Bill Number 275. Remarks? Senator Ratty.
This amendment revises the actions city and county boards of health may take related to communicable diseases that pose a risk to public health, requires health authorities that know, suspect, or are informed of the existence of any communicable disease that poses a public risk to health or is at risk of becoming infectious or developing in a way that endangers the health of the person with a communicable disease to conduct an investigation, and prohibiting a person from making public any personally identifying information about a person who has been exposed to a communicable disease and investigated by the health authority without the consent of the person.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Senate Bill ordered and rolled. Assembly to be notified of our action.
Senate Bill number 283, introduced by Senator Brooks, revises provisions relating to local improvements. The Assembly has amended this bill with amendment number 708. Does the Senate wish to concur or not concur in this matter?
Thank you. Senator Don Darrell Loop.
Thank you, Madam President. I move the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment 708 to Senate Bill 283.
Thank you. Senator Don Darrell Loop has moved that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment Number 708 to Senate Bill Number 283. Remarks? Senator Don Darrell Loop.
Thank you, Madam President. This amendment revises certain definitions, prohibits the distribution and sale of electricity between property owners, disqualifies land owned by the Department of Defense, clarifies that municipalities are not responsible for costs of construction, specifies minimum standards and authority for the creation of the district, and authorizes the municipality to delegate the responsibility for recording the notice of assessment and assessment lien.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Senate Bill ordered and rolled. Assembly to be notified of our action.
Senate Bill number 288, introduced by Senator Harris, revises provisions relating to transportation network companies. The Assembly has amended this bill with amendment number 721. Does the Senate wish to concur or not concur in this matter?
Thank you. Senator Harris.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment 721 to Senate Bill 288.
Thank you. Senator Harris has moved the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment number 721 to Senate Bill number 288. Remarks? Senator Harris.
Thank you, Madam President. Amendment 721 to Senate Bill 288 deletes the term safety engineer and clarifies the liability of the autonomous vehicle company and its insurance coverage requirements.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Senate Bill ordered and rolled. Assembly to be notified of our action.
Senate Bill number 294, introduced by Senator Canizaro, revises provisions governing collective bargaining by local government employers. The Assembly has amended this bill with amendment number 527. Does the Senate wish to concur or not concur in this matter?
Thank you. Senator Dondero-Loop.
Thank you, Madam President. I move the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment 527 to Senate Bill 294.
Thank you. Senator Dondero-Loop has moved the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment number 527 to Senate Bill number 294. Remarks? Senator Dondero-Loop.
Thank you, Madam President. This amendment clarifies the role of a second fact finder to serve as an arbitrator.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Senate Bill ordered and rolled. Assembly to be notified of our action.
Senate Bill number 307, introduced by Senator Dondero-Loop, revises provisions relating to sale of alcoholic beverages. The Assembly has amended this bill with amendments number 630 and 751. Does the Senate wish to concur or not concur in these matters?
Thank you. Senator Dondero-Loop.
Thank you, Madam President. I move the Senate concur in Assembly Amendments 630 and 716 to Senate Bill 307.
Is it 751? Amendments number 630 and 751?
716.
Okay, thank you. All right, Senator Dunn. Is it 630 and 751?
I have in front of me I have in front of me 630 and 716. Oh, apologies, 751.
Thank you. Senator Dondero-Loop has moved that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendments number 630 and 751 to Senate Bill number 307. Remarks? Senator Dondero-Loop.
Thank you, Madam President. Amendments made several changes to Senate Bill 307. Amendment 630 requires the supplier of liquor to approve or disapprove or deny approval for certain transactions related to the ownership or asset of a wholesaler within a certain period of time. It also provides that a waiver of any provisions of Nevada Revised Statutes 597.120 through 597.180 is void and unenforceable. 3, it also authorizes a retail liquor store to make deliveries of liquor in its original package under certain circumstances. And 4, revises provisions governing the operation of wineries. Amendment 716/751 expands certain provisions imposed on suppliers by prohibiting certain conduct in relation to wholesalers.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Senate Bill ordered and rolled. Assembly to be notified of our action.
Senate Bill number 320, introduced by Senator Neal, enacts various provisions relating to food delivery service platforms. The Assembly has amended this bill with amendment number 711. Does the Senate wish to concur or not concur in this matter?
Thank you. Senator Spearman.
Thank you, Madam President. Move that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment number 711 to Senate Bill number 320.
Thank you. Senator Spearman has moved that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment number 711 to Senate Bill number 320. Remarks? Senator Spearman.
Thank you, Madam President. Amendment number 711 made 4 changes to Senate Bill 320. It amends the definition of food delivery service platform in Section 4, deletes the requirement that a specified statement include a disclosure of the average commission, subsection 1C of Section 16, amends the bill to prohibit a food delivery service platform from provider from charging a food dispensing establishment any commission for online food order that exceeds a certain amount for any period during which a declaration of emergency is in effect under certain circumstances, and provides that provisions of the section do not preempt any local ordinance which places limits on the maximum commission that may be charged so long as such ordinance was in effect before April 30th, 2021, and it amends the effective date of the bill upon passage and approval.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Senate bill ordered and rolled. Assembly to be notified of our action.
Senate Bill number 327, introduced by Senators Neal and Harris, revises provisions relating to discriminatory practices. The Assembly has amended this bill with Amendment number 570. Does the Senate wish to concur or not concur in this matter?
Thank you. Senator Dondero Loop.
Thank you, Madam President. I move the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment 570 to Senate Bill 327.
Thank you. Senator Dondero Loop has moved that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment number 570 to Senate Bill number 327. Remarks? Senator Dondero Loop.
Thank you, Madam President. This amendment provides that the provisions do not apply to a city department that has less than 200 employees or an incorporated city if the city has a civil service commission that appoints a chief examiner and the chief examiner serves at the pleasure of the Civil Service Commission, is not answerable to any city officer or the governing body of the incorporated city other than the Civil Service Commission, and is not the director of human services for the human resources for the Civil Service Commission or the city.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Senate bill ordered and rolled. Assembly to be notified of our action.
Senate Bill 329, introduced by Senators Lang and Doñate, revises provisions relating to competition in health care markets. The Assembly has amended this bill with Amendment number 614. Does the Senate wish to concur or not concur in this matter?
Thank you. Senator Ratty.
Thank you, President. I move that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment 614 to Senate Bill 329.
Thank you. Senator Ratty has moved the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment number 614 to Senate Bill number 329. Remarks? Senator Ratty.
Thank you, President. Amendment 614 revises Senate Bill 329 by expands the bill to also require a person who owns all or substantially all of a physician group to practice to notify the Department of Health and Human Services of any merger, acquisition, or similar transaction in which he or she is involved, prohibits certain healthcare providers from willfully entering into, offering to enter into, or soliciting a contract that places certain restrictions on the third-party insurer, and makes a healthcare provider or third-party insurer who commits certain violations subject to a misdemeanor instead of a felony.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Senate bill ordered and rolled. Assembly to be notified of our action.
Senate Bill 344, introduced by Senator Orangehall, and X provisions relating to dangerous wild animals. The Assembly has amended this bill with Amendment number 607. Does the Senate wish to concur or not concur in this matter?
Thank you. Senator Doñate.
Madam President, I move that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment number 607 to Senate Bill 344.
Thank you. Senator Doñate has moved that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment number 607 to Senate Bill number 344. Remarks? Senator Doñate.
Thank you, Madam President. The amendment removes the prohibition that a person shall not import, possess, sell, transfer, or breed a dangerous wild animal in the state, and clarifies who can come in direct contact with a dangerous wild animal, and removes provisions related to the placement of dangerous wild animals with certain persons.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Senate bill ordered and rolled. Assembly to be notified of our action.
Senate Bill number 352, introduced by Senate Committee on Education, revises provisions relating to education. The Assembly has amended this bill with Amendment number 581. Does the Senate wish to concur or not concur in this matter?
Thank you. Senator Dennis.
Madam President, I move that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment 581 to Senate Bill 352.
Thank you. Senator Dennis has moved the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment number 581 to Senate Bill number 352. Remarks? Senator Dennis.
Thank you, Madam President. Amendment 581 to Senate Bill 352 authorizes a person who is currently employed by a public school to provide support or other services relating to school psychology without a license or endorsement to simultaneously complete a program of internship in psychology.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Senate bill ordered and rolled. Assembly to be notified of our action.
Senate Bill number 354, introduced by Senate Committee on Education, revises provisions relating to education. The Assembly has amended this bill with Amendment number 582. Does the Senate wish to concur or not concur in this matter?
Thank you. Senator Dennis.
Madam President, I move that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment 582 to Senate Bill 354.
Thank you. Senator Dennis moves Senate concur in Assembly Amendment number 582 to Senate Bill number 354. Remarks, Senator Dennis.
Thank you, Madam President. Amendment 582 to Senate Bill 354 revises language in sections 8, 10, and 12 related to determining if the pupil's behavior is due to homelessness or being in foster care.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Senate Bill ordered and rolled. Assembly to be notified of our action.
Senate Bill number 383, introduced by Senate Committee on Growth and Infrastructure, revises provisions relating to electric bicycles. The Assembly has amended this bill with amendment number 573. Does the Senate wish to concur or not concur in this matter?
Thank you. Senator Harris.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment 573 to Senate Bill 383.
Thank you. Senator Harris has moved the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment number 573 to Senate Bill number 383. Remarks, Senator Harris.
Thank you, Madam President. Amendment 573 to Senate Bill 383 deletes the age limit on operating Class 3 electric bicycle and the helmet requirement.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Senate Bill ordered and rolled. Assembly to be notified of our action.
Senate Bill number 387, introduced by Senators Harrison, Assemblyman Miller, etc., provides for the regulation of certain suppliers that provide an inmate calling service. The Assembly has amended this bill with amendment number 574. Does the Senate wish to concur or not concur in this matter?
Thank you. Senator Harris.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment 574 to Senate Bill 387.
Thank you. Senator Harris moved the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment number 574 to Senate Bill number 387. Remarks, Senator Harris.
Thank you, Madam President. Amendment 574 to Senate Bill 387 adds juvenile detention facilities to the definition of correctional facilities.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Senate Bill ordered and rolled. Assembly to be notified of our action.
Senate Bill number 391, introduced by Senate Committee on Health and Human Services, revises provisions relating to dentistry. The Assembly has amended this bill with amendment number 754. Does the Senate wish to concur or not concur in this matter?
Thank you. Senator Ratty.
Thank you, President. I move that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment 754 to Senate Bill 391.
Thank you. Senator Ratty's moved the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment number 754 to Senate Bill number 391. Remarks, Senator Ratty.
Thank you, President. Amendment 754 revises Senate Bill 391 by changing the effective date to make all provisions related to the state dental health officer and the state public health dental hygienist effective upon passage and approval and apply retroactively on and after March 1st, 2021.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Senate Bill ordered and rolled. Assembly to be notified of our action.
Senate Bill 396, introduced by Senate Committee on Health and Human Services, revises provisions relating to purchasing of prescription drugs. The Assembly has amended this bill with amendment number 613. Does the Senate wish to concur or not concur in this matter?
Thank you. Senator Ratty.
Thank you, President. I move the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment 613 to Senate Bill 396.
Thank you. Senator Ratty has moved the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment number 613 to Senate Bill number 396. Remarks, Senator Ratty.
Amendment 613 revises Senate Bill 396 by removing provisions to exempt a contract between the Department of Health and Human Services and a pharmacy benefit manager or health maintenance organization entered into pursuant to an agreement for the collaborative purchasing of prescription drugs from certain requirements concerning transparency, rebates, and auditing.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Senate Bill ordered and rolled. Assembly to be notified of our action.
Senate Bill number 404, introduced by Senate Committee on Finance, revises provisions governing cannabis. The Assembly has amended this bill with amendment number 517. Does the Senate wish to concur or not concur in this matter?
Thank you. Senator Danyate.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment number 517 to Senate Bill number 404.
Thank you. Senator Danyate has moved the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment number 517 to Senate Bill number 404. Remarks, Senator Danyate.
Thank you, Madam President. This is a really good amendment about cannabis weighing and measurement equipment.
Thank you. Further remarks? Is there a sing-song? No. All right. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Senate Bill ordered and rolled. Assembly to be notified of our action.
Senate Bill number 406, introduced by Senate Committee on Finance, revises provisions relating to wildlife. The Assembly has amended this bill with amendment number 549. Does the Senate wish to concur or not concur in this matter?
Thank you. Bring us home. Senator Danyate.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment number 549 to Senate Bill 406.
Thank you. Senator Duniante has moved that Senate concur in Assembly Amendment number 549 to Senate Bill number 406. Remarks, Senator Duniante.
Thank you, Madam President. The amendment revises provisions governing the Wildlife Trust Fund and exempts from any requirement for approval of the first $250,000 received by the Department of Wildlife as a gift, donation, bequest, or devised a combination thereof from a private source or for any unanticipated emergency event as defined by the amendment.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Senate bill ordered and rolled. Assembly to be notified of our action.
And that concludes order business number 14 and business of the desk for this legislative day.
That's lovely. All right, order of business 16. Remarks from the floor. Senator Hansen, you know, you came in. I asked Senator Settlemeyer if I could vote, you know, in your place. And he was going to agree, but then you arrived. So there we are. Remarks from the floor. How are we doing? Nobody. Senator Canizaro.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the Senate stand in adjournment until the hour of 11 a.m. on Tuesday, May 25th, 2021.
Thank you. You have heard the motion. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. All right. Drive carefully. Careful. Thank you, guys. Motion carries.